On today's episode, Josh and I are here to talk about, well, the inevitable. Isaiah Stewart and LeBron James tried to brawl it out. We'll talk about that, of course. And we also got Klay's impending or soon coming return to the, shall I say, red hot 15-2 Warriors. Luke Walton being fired in Sacramento, and supposedly a short, fun, fast trivia. Next.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Two Pointers podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Trevor.
And today, like Trevor said, we're just going to hop right into what has to be talked about, as it's it's the biggest talking point in the NBA all week, which, hey, fortunately, something happened for us on Sunday night instead of happening on Tuesday. How about that? But for anyone who didn't see, last night, the Detroit Pistons were playing the Los Angeles Lakers, not a game that should inspire headlines. However, somewhere around mid-game, I don't remember, was it the third quarter, Trevor? Third quarter?
It was third quarter-ish. It was early to mid-third quarter, yes.
Yeah. LeBron James made contact with Isaiah Stewart following a free throw. I'm just going to say made contact now, and then we'll get into the discussion. Cutting open Isaiah Stewart's eye and mouth. Isaiah Stewart then proceeded to, for several minutes, try his best to get at LeBron James. And I mean several minutes, at one point sprinting along the court, knocking down staffer and coach and player, really just breaking tackles like Marshawn Lynch in that NFC wildcard game in an attempt to get to LeBron James. In probably the most wild scene we've seen in a long time. Fast forward to tonight, Monday, where we're recording, LeBron James has been issued a one-game suspension for his role, and Isaiah Stewart has been issued a two-game suspension. Unfortunately, we can't call it Malice at the Palace 2.0 because they're not at the Palace at Auburn Hills anymore. They're in the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, and for the life of me, I couldn't find something to rhyme with Caesars, so we're just not going to go anywhere with that. But with that being said, Trevor, what was your initial reaction? Were you watching the game? I wouldn't be surprised if not. I mean, it is the Pistons. What did you think as that was happening?
So my first reaction was, thank goodness for social media and for group chats, because no, I was not watching. I was watching Sunday Night Football. Shame on me, right, as a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
My actual first reaction as I was finding out about it live is I was getting the cut and angles and side shots and all these different things. And by the way, I'm going to take the NBA side on this. I know you're joking about the Malice and the Palace Caesars rhyme comment, but I'm going to take the side of the NBA and I'm going to say I'm glad that we did not have a Malice 2.0. As much of a blackball as that might have been, I would love to have seen something wild, maybe, but not necessarily in that light. No, actually, on a more funny note, though, my initial first reaction as it was happening, as we started getting more angles of the arena, they have all these cameras everywhere, these reporters, these guys with phones on every corner and area and booth. Cade Cunningham should absolutely get a tryout for the Lions, because he single-handedly prevented this from getting any worse. And for those that might not see it, we retweeted it yesterday. I guess it would have been last night. So when we were recording this on Monday, the 22nd. But yeah, Cade Cunningham single-handedly held back Stewart for about 15 seconds straight, kept pulling him back and kept bringing him down. Obviously, he didn't tackle him. The Lions can't tackle either. That's the joke. But it was just wild to see all these different just perspectives. And I saw shots from the floor. I saw shots from the catwalk. I saw shots from different parts of the arena where the announcers were. But just first reactions, it's not good. I didn't like any of it. Obviously, we'll get to the details and what it entails for the suspensions in a moment. But I wasn't happy to see it, quite frankly, from either side, regardless if it was LeBron, the Lakers. It doesn't matter. It was exciting for the sense that we haven't had anything like this in a while, but it's just such a bad look. Such a bad look. Poor Detroit, regardless of the outcome, regardless of who started it. It seems like something's always happening for Detroit. It seems like always is bad.
Well, it's interesting because that game was actually going well for Detroit. They had the Lakers very much on their heels, and following the LeBron James, Isaiah Stewart, I'll say scuffle, uh, the Lakers were able to come back and get a narrow victory. Now, the fact that the Lakers are having to pull a narrow victory against the Pistons, the team that's probably the worst in the NBA right now, well, worst offense at the very least, is a topic for a different day. But let's kind of break this down as we go piece by piece. Do you think that what started all, LeBron James kind of contact or backhand to Isaiah Stewart's face, was intentional?
So initially, in the first probably 3 hours of the interaction, from when it happened to when I went to bed on Sunday night, my answer was no. Upon having some time today to reflect on it and having the time to rewatch it, listen to people's opinions, kind of just understand really what fully happened from, AD saying this and this guy saying that, I really do actually think it was intentional, unfortunately. But I think it was intentional. I just can't understand it. I can't understand the intention of it. Like, there's going to be this stupid narrative by like the middle of tomorrow, right? Where it's like, he did it to fire up his teammates. LeBron did this. So he always has this moment where he does this thing where he tries to fire. No, I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid no matter what. It's not a good look for him, especially with all the stuff with Cantor and LeBron and now Stewart and LeBron. He needs to just cool it. Let's win some games. All right. First of all, this team can't beat Detroit in Detroit when
They did once King James was off the court.
Yeah, it's like, it's cool. Like, he needed to be off the court clearly, or else they weren't going to get the win. But can we like throw them in panic button next month? Like, if we're the savior of a team when we throw them in panic button, and this team well beyond, like, we can get to them later in a few weeks when we really do hit the panic button on them probably. But I'm disappointed. And not only I'm a Lakers fan, clearly, to the listeners might not know that I'm a Lakers fan. I have been, but the point being is I'm disappointed as a fan of LeBron, who historically, up until the last couple of years, has been pretty good about keeping his name out of the media for bad press. The Boys and Girls Club stuff in Cleveland, the rebuilding of an entire school system, the donations of it was like 1,000 bikes to kids in his neighborhood to get them to be able to transportate to and from in schools. Like, there's all kinds of stuff he's been doing, the movies, the whatever. This, in a November game that, quite frankly, there was probably 40 people watching. Like, I just can't fathom why it was on purpose. Like, I genuinely think it was on purpose, and I genuinely can't understand why. And maybe you can help me. I don't know.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you that I think, based off seeing a few angles, that I think LeBron did do it intentionally. I don't think it's that deep of a reason from what I could tell. Isaiah Stewart got a little physical on the block, pushing a box out against LeBron. LeBron, I think, got off balance and got a little frustrated. And at that moment, he decided to kind of whip his hand down in the direction of, he knew it was in the direction of Isaiah Stewart. He probably knew it was in the direction of his face. But he decided to kind of strike back at Stewart in frustration that he was kind of getting bodied off the block. I know there's been some debate amongst analysts of, was what Stewart was doing and pushing James off the block a foul? Was it just aggressive boxing out? Doesn't really matter. LeBron kind of struck at him. I thought the league kind of did the correct thing with LeBron. He was ejected for a flagrant 2, which it was. He was issued a 1-game suspension for kind of throwing a backhand at Isaiah Stewart. Is it a 1-game suspension if things don't blow up? Probably not. But yeah, I mean, I think that part was handled appropriately.
So I think there's two things to just like brush over it to the point where, like, I think this is forgotten about by tomorrow. By the time this episode goes up, is probably when this starts to settle down. I just don't understand. It should be, clearly. Like, I think it should have settled down by the middle of this week. I understand why it's not. But my point being is that we've all played pickup basketball. And I think the more I thought about it, I still can't understand why LeBron did it. Let's just move on from that. What it was, and from what I understand from listening to the interviews of who was on the floor at the time, is we've all played pickup, right? You accidentally hit a guy, or you accidentally elbow the guy, you accidentally swat, for the ball, you miss, you hit a shoulder, hit an eye, hit a whatever. It happens, right? Pickup basketball, whatever. Hey, bro, my bad. You good, right? You ask the
Yeah,
guy.
but before you go down this road, this is not that. This was
He didn't even
ruled
say
by the
anything.
NBA referee. Like it's not a matter of opinion. It was ruled by the NBA referees as a non-basketball play. It wasn't like an accidental swat and you missed, you hit that. No,
No,
he
no, no.
swung his arm to hit Isaiah Stewart, whether it was in the face or not. He intentionally did do that.
Right. In the normal intention of whether he did it like that or not. The point being is in that situation where it de-escalates is, let's say it was accidental, right? You go and Stewart probably comes up to him and he's like, "Hey bro, like you got a moment to it," but like he was trying to give him a chance to apologize. But it clearly, because it was that obviously intentional, like I said, that's why I had time to reflect on it. Because at first I was like, I thought Stewart came at him like that and was like, you had your chance, you had your this to apologize, whatever. But like the more you go back and watch it, like for anybody that might not really fully have watched it, like Stewart was about that life. Like Stewart was about that life, ready to run through the tunnel, run straight. He knew the path right back to the Lakers side. Like it was like he was beyond frustrated because I get it. It's a bad play, right? The loser of the situation is the whole situation, right? It's LeBron, it's Stewart, everyone. The whole situation is a loser. If you're going winner loser here, that's why I brought this up. Winner is social media. Social media went to town with this whole ordeal. The angles, the memes, the Kay Cunningham stuff with the Lions. I saw that and I was like, it has to be mentioned at least once. But just social media had just the time of their life with this, and I don't encourage it, but I do think it's at least funny. It's like poking the bull a little bit, but man, it's just not a good look. And I'm disappointed, and I'm just it's stupid. It's stupid that this team, we're going to look back at this when they lose in the second round of the playoffs and we're like, it was stupid? Intentionally hitting someone in the face in a November game. It's dumb. They're 9-9. Get it together.
Yeah, so it's just not a good look for LeBron. Not a good look for the Lakers, especially in the fact that lost in the shuffle of this. LeBron James was ejected. Isaiah Stewart was ejected. Russell Westbrook was issued a technical foul because Russell Westbrook also decided he was going to try to fight Isaiah Stewart in the aftermath. So that was good from a Lakers perspective. Yeah, basically, eventually it's de-escalated. They get them out of the court. Mentioned also Isaiah Stewart was issued a 2-game suspension, which was frankly a shorter suspension for him than I was expecting for all that. I think the NBA wants to make this a small thing and move on. As far as I've seen no public comments from Isaiah Stewart yet. Public comments from LeBron James, which I want to get your reaction to, whether you've seen it or not. LeBron stated, one, he wants to move past this, but two, he's not ever going to play on a basketball court with Isaiah Stewart on it again. Statement from LeBron James. So is LeBron just sitting out all the Pistons games now, or he's?
I mean, it's just he's setting up the imminent just understanding of like he's going to rest and next time they play the Pistons. They honestly might not even play the Pistons again. I have no idea. The comments are dumb. I do at least like, I don't even know if I like this entirely, but I do like the attempt. He supposedly was trying to that night trying to get Stewart's phone number and reach out and apologize. I don't know. It's just stupid. I everything about it, I hate it. It's just not something you do when you have a team that's supposed to have some good chemistry going through this early on in the season.
I'm sorry, just like where was the Lakers supposed to have good chemistry? The team was ripped to shreds last year, so it's like a hodgepodge of players.
These guys
been
get
together.
along.
They can't have chemistry.
They're building it and they're getting along. And Melo is
They got to
the
build
best
it,
locker
but
room
it's
guy.
like
My
we're
point
not talking like
is
Milwaukee that's been together chemistry. This is the Lakers just been thrown together.
My point is that was the thing that they had going for them as they're getting better. And clearly they're not going to get better unless something like this just goes wrong and then they're able to come back from a 20-point deficit. My point being is this is something you don't want when you're trying to build chemistry, when you have a guy like Melo who did nothing in that situation other than keep it calm. Like my point is this chemistry is not perfect. I'm just saying they have to be able to rely on that if this team's going to be any good. And what I see as a major red flag is when you're 9-9 in November and you've got 3 of the best 20 players on the planet, whether it be in prime or not in prime, 25 players, whatever. You have 3 of the best players on the planet. And you can't win you can win this game clearly, but you can't almost win a game like this when it's just every bit of it is stupid. I'm frustrated beyond belief as a fan, just as a supporter of somebody like LeBron I have been over the last 20 years. It's stupid. Every bit of it's stupid, and this team needs to get a complete and utter 180 of what they have going on. Because the chemistry, I mentioned the chemistry piece, because even though, yes, it's a November 22nd, they don't have perfect chemistry. My point being is this team has it, and they can continue to build it, and they continue to get on this roll. But when you have stuff like this happen, it ruins every bit of that. Is my point, to clarify on the chemistry part of it. But it's just stupid. It sucks, and I hate every bit of it.
All right. I'm going to quit needling you, because I was going to push to see how much I could get about the Lakers. But
to be clear, by the way, I want to be clear to you and everyone. I'm more mad at the fact that this team, like, I looked at it from the fan perspective a little bit more than I should have. Like, when I first reacted, of course, the NBA podcast or the NBA, whatever you want to call us, like, I was disappointed in the situation. I was disappointed in Stewart, disappointed in LeBron, disappointed in the Lakers, how they handled it. I was more disappointed in the fact that this is not something that needs to happen for a team that's this bad through this point of the season. That's the point I'm trying to make, is I'm more frustrated at the fact that this is just stupid for the act of the fact it doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter. And we should be moved on from it, even though it was stupid. And we should probably still be talking about it through the middle of this week. I get it. Well, that's stupid. It's the media. So anyway, I'm just frustrated. Hopefully we look back on this in 60 days and we're like, well, that was dumb, but look at them now. They're third in the West. Whatever, right? It is what it is. Can we move on to a team that's actually good in the West? So, and what I mean by that, to the listeners that might not be realizing that the Warriors are 15-2. And the real reason we're actually bringing this segment up is not, and that's no disrespect to the 15-2 Warriors, but we're actually bringing this up because Klay is returning very soon, actually. What I call very soon here, I'm going to quote Anthony Slater, who's a Warriors reporter for The Athletic, in quotes, or quote, Klay Thompson fully cleared for practice. This was as of today. Fully cleared for practice after strong scrimmage week last week, and has entered final ramp-up stage, which trends toward a Warriors return within the week of Christmas. Before I ask you any of the questions I have prepared about the Warriors that we've not disrespected, but not given enough airtime to yet, because they are doing very, very, very well. Your first reaction to Klay coming back a little earlier than we thought.
Was it earlier? I thought it was right on schedule. Was January?
So we were anywhere between, when we had Brett on, we were anywhere between, Christmas was best case scenario, but ideally was All-Star break. Like, All-Star break was what we thought for the longest time.
Best case scenario.
We are at best case scenario, which is why I brought this up initially to you the other day. I was like, this is kind of a big deal, because we're more than a month away from Christmas. We're recording this, 30 some odd days, or 29.
Well, we're like barely over a year since the injury, like just a couple days. It's been a long comeback for Klay, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm excited. Haven't seen Klay Thompson play basketball since 2019. So,
and the reason I brought this up is
2019 wrong.
It was 2019. That was last time we truly played. I brought this up because I think it's a reflect of the fact that we are talking about the 15-2 Warriors here as of tonight. But does it not feel early for a team that doesn't need them right now? Like, that's why I'm bringing this up. Like, it doesn't matter to wait till the All-Star break. We don't need Klay this early.
If it's not, like, if he's medically fine, there's no reason to make him not play. Like, if he's going through full practices and scrimmages, that's not any less dangerous than playing in the game.
Back in. Yeah.
Frankly, it's not like we're talking about football here where they don't really hit each other in practice. In basketball, they're having full contact practices. He's going out there. If you're fine, you get him back in there and you try to get him into game mode. You got to get him ready. Got to get him caught up.
I guess just my thought process is like, yes, it's like he's already starting to do that, and Christmas is still a month away. So really it is, I guess, not quote too early, but unless they go on some weird slide, like, they quite frankly don't need him yet. Like, it's one of those things, like, they could use him absolutely, and they want to get him back into it, where if we've got Steph playing this great, I mean, right now I would think he's top 2 or 3 in MVP, if not the favorite. We were calling him the favorite last week, but I mean, yeah, it's gonna be good to have him back. I'm no MD, like there's no doctor behind my name or before my name, but yes, like if you're playing these scrimmages and you're getting into these game shapes and game form, I just still can't overlook the scary factor of the fact that he has done it twice in 2 years. And it's like, we haven't seen a full healthy Klay. Like there has to be a point where like, it's at least concerning slightly. And that's where I am. In 30 days, I might be not the case, right? I might be looking forward to a Christmas return. I hope he returns on Christmas, to be clear.
I mean, we're looking at a 13-month recovery. That is taking your time. They took their time. It's not, he hasn't been rushed back. And at some point you have to play. If you hold him out longer, you're like, okay, we're just holding him out longer, but then you're still going to be afraid about playing him when he comes back.
Yeah.
He has to play at some point.
Absolutely.
And there's a caution against rushing a guy back, but there should be no reason a team should just hold someone out if they are 100% healthy.
And they're clicking and firing. And it's not like you put him in there and you start, even if you start with a minutes restriction, like I guess the silver lining here is that Warriors fans have nothing to complain about, because 15-2 and you're slowly easing Klay back in within the next 30 days. It's going to transition me to my first question. Right now, are they the favorite to win the West?
Now, probably. Yeah.
Now,
I mean, they look like the 2015 Warriors.
That's right. I'm tired of that comparison. I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
I've been giving you that comparison since the preview when I said they were trying to run it back.
I'm so sick of it. They're better than that, I think.
They are, frankly.
I think they're better than that. I really do.
They lead the league in scoring. I don't know about that. We'll see. And they're honestly playing incredible defense.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned I think they were better than that. I think the defense is eye-opening. This is the best Draymond we've had since.
Yeah, I'm just gonna react to. You realize like they are scoring the most points in the league on average and giving up the least on average.
Correct.
They're first in both categories.
Not only are
That's
they
ridiculous.
first in those, they're also second in rebounding, which I thought was a big red flag for them coming into the season. I'm glad that they're proving me wrong there. First in assists per game, so it's not just one guy log jamming it all, like say Steph. They're second in steals to back you up on the defensive point, first in field goal percentage, first in total 3-pointers made, fourth in 3-point percentage, and first in total plus minus with 13. They're the only team above 10. That's what I would call utter dominance through 17 games, which is why I think this defense is faster, stronger, and better than 2015. And that's not a disrespect to 2015. That's just a testament to how good this young core is. And this is like, we're like getting a sprinkle of like Kuminga. They haven't got really anything out of Moody yet. They're getting guys like Poole, right? Jordan Poole. They're getting guys like Draymond Green back, right? They're getting Iguodala. The fact that I'm even mentioning Andre Iguodala at 37 years old or 36 years old, right? He's missed the last couple of games with some knee injuries, but when he's played, it's been important minutes. So let him like play 31
2015 Warriors.
Yeah, it's literally I know, it's just I'm sick of the comparisons of like old teams, and it is what it is. This team's faster and younger and better, and it's going to be exciting to see. My follow-up question for you, which is why I brought them up and why this 15-2 start is so impressive. The Suns, the other team in their division that I know your opinion of them, and the listeners might, if they've been around for the last couple of weeks. Both of those teams look like the best two teams in that division, clearly, right? But which do you feel better about going into the playoffs in the next few months? Is it the Warriors still, or is it the Suns team that's just continuing to look like they're the best team coming out of the West like last year?
It's the team that's first in basically every basketball category. It's not, as of right now, it's not a hard question.
I just want to know where the Suns is coming from. That's all.
The Suns have kind of snuck up on me that they've continued to play better. I still don't know what I'm seeing that's all that different from last year, and maybe not different from last year is a good thing for the Suns. I just think that last year's team kind of skated by on the fact that other teams got hurt and they stayed healthy and kind of zipped through the Western Conference that way. That could happen again. Maybe durability is all you need.
They're beating teams in that same top five scoring margin that the Warriors are. And that's why I brought it up, because I think it's a good comparison now, because I think they're going to be the two teams looking down here from first and second in the next couple of weeks and months, because you're getting the best possible, Chris Paul you possibly can at this age of his career, but you're getting the best of both worlds from your two top lead guards, and you're getting a great defensive roster who can win games, that can get big shots. These two teams are going to kill each other if they play each other in the playoff series. It's just, I brought it up now because I think it's going to be something we look back on.
And yes, they played 4 times in the regular season because they're in the same division.
Correct. I know. And they've only played each other, I believe, once. I don't think they might not have even played yet, actually, now that I think about it.
If they have played, then Golden State won, because I know who Golden State's 2 losses are.
Okay, well then, there you go.
One of them is Charlotte. Just let everyone know.
Yeah, I was like, I was waiting. I was like, there's my and gap for you, and I'm glad.
The other one's Memphis, so shout out to John Morant.
Yeah, I believe he dropped like 35 that game too.
Yeah.
Really, the Warriors, it's just that the questions weren't too like in depth. It's just a matter of like, we want this glimpse of like why this team looks good, and we've really given them that. And to think that Klay's coming back in 30 days, it's just ridiculous. So shout out to Brett for giving us the insight on the Warriors. For those that might not have listened to that episode, please go back and listen to that.
And shout out for Brett Siegel predicting the Warriors would win the Western Conference. So
and Steph to be
MVP. Saw this coming, and we really questioned it that day. I definitely did.
Well, let's transition to a more somber note. In the Western Conference, we're going to stay in the Western
depressing
Conference.
Than what this is actually going to be about. To preface everyone,
somber is a nice word. So I transition here because, and first of all, people were probably like, why are they talking about the East so much? Like literally, we've given the West like no conversation this year, and here we are. The West is the only thing we talk about today. Awesome. On a sad, somber note, Josh, I'm going to read you a few things about this that you may not have found out that blew my mind. So Luke Walton, for those that might not know, has been the, whatever you want to call him, the first coach fired, right? Or that's just the simple term, right? There's a lot of funny names you could say, but the first coach fired for the 6-11 start Sacramento Kings. But before losing 7 of the last 8, they were 5-4, and their offense looked really good with Halliburton and Davion Mitchell. Fox, it's another conversation for later. Did you realize that Walton was the 11th head coach since they made the playoffs in 2006? That was the last time they made the playoffs. 11th head coach. That's almost a coach every year and like some change. This is the stat that just why I even want to have this conversation. And I'm just, if there's a singular Kings fan out there, we'd love you, and please just hang in there. It's going to get better if you're a fan of a different team. Shockingly, that Bill Walton, Josh, has the second highest winning percentage.
You said Kings. Bill Walton. That's his dad.
I'm sorry. Son Luke Walton has the second highest winning percentage in franchise history. Do you want to take a guess what that number is? I'll give you a hint. 416. Oh, you were very close. It was 4.422.
Oh, so close.
Second highest. Below 500. It's the second highest winning. Now, granted, small-ish sample size. 2.5 seasons, basically. 3 seasons, we're going to call it for the fun. My only question for you is, I asked you this a month and a half ago. What gets better for Sacramento? What has to happen? They are becoming the Detroit Lions. I think they're becoming worse than the Detroit Lions.
They're worse than the Detroit Lions.
At this point, I don't even know what to tell you, like what to give you. This team's bad and has been my entire life. I think they just need to get out of Sacramento. Well, I guess I was like 4 when they were pretty peak there at the beginning of the 2000s. But do they have to get out of Sacramento? Is that where we've gotten to?
Oh, it has nothing to do with the city. It's everything
Something
to do with
has
the
to
ownership.
change.
What?
Something has to change.
Ownership. Like nothing will change in Sacramento until somebody else owns that team. No disrespect to Vlade Divac and his ownership team, but I don't think I've ever seen a team be more mismanaged than the Sacramento Kings. 11 coaches in 16 years. if I asked you to name a star player, or name a player that you associate with the Sacramento Kings from that period of time that has been there, like you associate with that team with at least 5 years playing for the Sacramento Kings. Could you do that?
Are you talking about the last 5 years? You talking about the last 5 years?
No, like since 2006. Name a player who you're like, that guy, when I think of him, that's Sacramento Kings, and he spent like at least 5 years with the Kings. So it's like saying don't name De'Aaron Fox or somebody like that.
DeMarcus Cousins. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What did they do with that?
Nothing.
They ran him off. Like, they made him upset, traded him, and his career went downhill after.
No, okay. So funny you say that.
I'm just getting started.
The DeMarcus Cousins, right? That's one, right? Buddy Hield has now been there for, I believe this will be his 5th season. So I'm just going to read you. First round pick since 2006, quickly. Quincy Douby, Spencer Hawes, Patrick Ewing Jr. This is first or second round. I'm just reading you picks for the example. It'll make sense in just a moment. Quincy, this is from 2006 on, from the year they made the playoffs. They had a couple before that. But Quincy Douby, Spencer Hawes, Patrick Ewing Jr., Sean Singletary, Jason Thompson, Omri Caspi, Tyreek Evans, Hassan Whiteside, DeMarcus Cousins, Isaiah Thomas, Tyler Honeycutt, Bismack Biyombo, Orlando Johnson, Thomas Robinson, Ray McCallum Jr., we're up to 2013, Josh, Ben McLemore, Nick Stauskas, Willie Cauley-Stein, Isaiah Cousins, guess they thought a Cousins would work out again at the 59th overall pick, Marquise Chris, Frank Mason III, Zach Collins, De'Aaron Fox, Gary Trent Jr., Marvin Bagley. I'm going to skip that name because he was the 60th pick and I can't pronounce it. I can't pronounce that one. Oh, no. Ignas Brastakis, Justin James, Kenyon Martin Jr., Jamias Ramsey, Xavier Tillman, and Tyrese Halliburton.
Now, some of the
garbage.
Some of the players you named were not actually drafted by the Kings. The Kings picked them for somebody else. A trade had been executed. So they weren't actually Kings picks. And so there were also some Kings picks that you didn't include that were left out of there. But your point's made.
Thank you. So where are we to the point? Like ownership, obviously that's something that legitimately, unless something major changes, like that
look at it right now. Like De'Aaron Fox is supposed to be your star, right? Supposed to be. I know you want to talk about how he's had this historic drop off this year. But before this, De'Aaron Fox is your star guard. So what do you do in the first round of the last 2 years' drafts? You draft 2 point guards. What are you doing? Like, who are they supposed to build with? And beyond that, they drafted Marvin Bagley ahead of Luka Doncic.
And Trae Young.
Yeah, it's beyond the point.
Just adding
insult to injury times. But they drafted him, and now they don't even play him because they're having this spat where they don't get along, and they won't trade him for assets either. So he's just sitting there.
It's bad.
They dished out this massive contract to Harrison Barnes. I want to talk about 2015 Warriors. Buddy Hield is only going to be able to contribute as like a star starter for your team for only so much longer. Wouldn't be surprised if he wants to get out. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last straw for De'Aaron Fox. So really all you're left with in Sacramento is Tyrese Halliburton and Davion Mitchell. And an ownership that has squandered every talent they've had over the past 16 years. Which,
by the way, like those two are really good. And if you have to dismantle, I'm going to give Kings fans this before I say anything else positive. To the new listeners this episode, this is the only segment that I can remember that we've ever, whether it's malicious or not, we've ever kicked a team while they're completely and utterly down. It doesn't happen often, but it's deserved for the Kings fans, for the Kings
not kicking the team. I think the players have some talent.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm saying the team like as an organization.
Oh, yeah.
This is fully and utterly a kick to every part that I'm not going to say. So it's the testament that if you have to reset, I'm okay with Davion Mitchell and Tyrese Halliburton. Those two are going to be a really good duo for hopefully together in Sacramento a long time. Davion Mitchell is right now all defensive first team or second team. He's one of the two. It's whether he plays and continues to play into that role. He's definitely all rookie team. It's just a matter of where. I can't keep looking at this pick list to my right. And I'm going, and yes, I missed a few nonetheless. But my point being, it's such a deep-rooted problem that at this point, it's just gotta have to. This needs to be the next team that will, when we use the word implode, we think the Pelicans will probably be that team. They need to completely and utterly implode. And if that means new ownership, new location, new branding, you only keep Tyrese Halliburton and Davion Mitchell, good. Get rid of everyone. If you've been in this office, if you've been in a King's office prior to this year, up until this point, you're gone. Because that's at this point, Josh, I can't give you another thing. I keep looking at the trade machine going, this could work out for this. They could get this for Bagley. It's like literal worst case scenario. And I have nothing else for you.
Well, it's hard to build a team when the star players always end up being disenfranchised with the ownership. I don't know why that keeps happening. Boston Celtics have had that problem with point guards.
Yeah.
Just as a comparison.
The Kings have no problem with point guards, clearly.
No, they have a big man issue, but
yeah, it's beside the point. I guess I keep looking at the replacement because we haven't even mentioned who's replacing Luke Walton. The whole reason we brought this segment up, Luke Walton it's Alvin Gentry. It's Alvin Gentry. I know, and that's what I was getting to. It's you then, who's by the way an interim there. I get it. You take the guy that's there already, or the guy that's able to come in quickly. But I'm not giving Alvin Gentry much credit for his prior successes. I'm not thrilled with the replacement. So you replace a guy, which I've liked Luke Walton. I honestly thought at first they shouldn't have got rid of him in LA. But this is the second time Luke's been able to be the fall guy. And at this point, Gentry's not any better. You just had to do something. They just had to get rid of somebody somehow, some way to try to change this. And GM Monty McNair, this was just the first straw. He hasn't really made any adjustments really as his couple years as GM. So I don't know. I think we've come to the conclusion together that the Halliburton and Davion Mitchell duo are the only thing left for Kings fans from now on this point forward. So I'm sorry.
Well, it's quite a bit of turmoil before they get to just that. So
yeah. We'll leave it. We'll leave the Kings stuff for rest because we'll need something to talk about this offseason, and we could probably do an entire episode on what we would do to change and uproot and declutter that entire franchise.
I'd love to see the Kings turn a corner. I just don't see it coming anytime soon.
Oh, I would too, regardless of the division that they're in. And as much as I, have wanted to root against them, I
absolutely loaded.
It sucks for them in every way. It sucks for them every way, and it's okay. Kings fans.
The Warriors,
will be
Clippers,
okay.
Lakers, Suns, and Kings in the Pacific Division.
Trivia, shall we?
Yeah. So trivia question this week is not extensive, quite frankly. Trevor who knows, maybe he knows this right off the top of his head and will dish it out really quickly. Maybe he doesn't. It'd be so simple it'll bother. Trevor has the opportunity for 1 point this week. As the winner of last year's trivia competition, I get to set basically the standard of how many points are going to be offered every week. So there's one question for 1 point. It's very simple. Going on the theme of coaches being fired. Really, my question, because when we came up with this topic, I'm like, okay, this is interesting to talk about now. And I was thinking, how long are we going to remember that Luke Walton was fired in the middle of November? 2 coaches were fired mid-season, within the season last year in the NBA. Name those coaches. That's it. No looking anything up. Just name the 2 coaches that were fired during the season last year.
For perspective for the listeners, I'm pulling up just a general list of NBA teams just so I'm not completely in the dark. I'm just going to look at the NBA team map and understand what happened for who. And I think I know one of them. And unfortunately, if I've just got to go 2 for 2, this is just such a tough week, and you're going to get a hard question too. Am I supposed to? I'm probably supposed to know this though. So I'm going to talk out loud for a moment because Josh has not answered me. So I'm assuming I'm going to have to go 2 for 2. So
yes, you do. Like, there's no. I said it's an all or nothing. There's no half. It's 1 point. Like, we're not saying that one of us has half a point like we did all of last season again.
So Van Gundy, and this is not my answer, but Van Gundy was fired last year from Pelicans, or they parted ways. I just think it was after the season. We brought up Danny Ainge, Brad Stevens, but I think that was in the off season. I'm just going through I think Brad Stevens might be one of them. I'm just going to talk out loud for a moment, just for the listeners to understand the thought process. I can't even tell you who the Cavs coach was.
Repeat the question. Name the 2 coaches who were fired mid-season last year.
Oh, man, fired. Okay. There were so many moves this offseason. The coaching carousel was wild. We did a whole segment on it. I'm just murking that in my head with the season, and it's frustrating.
This is kind of making my point for me in that we're not going to remember that Luke Walton was fired by the Kings 2 months from now.
I like Luke Walton though. Like I brought up the Lakers thing. Like
I do too.
I like Luke Walton. I don't think it's going to work out for him.
Keeps getting hired by teams who don't really have a chance.
I really can't. I can't. Dude. Okay. Oh, one of them was Lloyd Pierce.
There we go.
All right.
Gonna be really upset if he didn't. We talked about that one a lot.
Yeah, Lloyd Pierce.
Fired by
the Atlanta Hawks.
There you go. Okay.
I thought that was obvious at least. And now here's my back and forth conundrum between Stan Van Gundy and Brad Stevens. I'm pretty sure they let Stan just stink it up the whole year. I'm pretty sure they just let him just continuously dump on that team for the longest possible time. And they, by the way, were fighting for playoffs last year. So it's not even against the testament to Stan Van Gundy, but oh, dude. While I'm thinking out loud, do we still think this is Greg Popovich's last year since we're on coaches? I'm at least just going to ask the question out loud while I'm looking at this list.
Yes.
I think so too. I thought about it yesterday. What a better way to give Becky Hammon a coaching job than to just let her just take the reins right over.
Yeah.
Oh, the Clippers. Who the heck coaches the Clippers now? Oh, Chauncey. No.
Ron Lue still coaches the Clippers.
Oh, that's right. I think the Brad Stevens thing was mid-season. It's Brad Stevens, but he stepped down. No, see, he stepped down. Hold on, back up. He stepped down because Danny Ainge came about, and then they didn't have a head coach for a while. Wow, so it had to have happened in the offseason because I remember, it was before the draft. So they did, it was in the offseason. It was before the draft. Hold on. All right, here we go. We're talking this out loud, man. At this point, after looking at this entire list, it's probably the Cavs, but I don't know who the Cavs coach was or is and is to come. And I just did they fire Scott Brooks in Washington early? Oh, did they? All right, what have I got to lose? Stan Van Gundy, final answer.
Stan Van Gundy mutually parted ways with the New Orleans Pelicans following the 2021 season.
My second guess would have been whoever the heck was the Cavs coach. I don't know. I can't remember.
I'm actually going to give you know what? One more chance. One more guess. And I'll still give you the full point if you get it right.
Which tells me it was probably the Cavs coach, and I don't remember. Was it?
I'm not saying what it was. I just am going to give you any chance to name. You have to have the name of the coach. No, you can't look it up.
Again, talking out loud here, the Carlisle thing. Carlisle left Dallas in the offseason for sure, but did Indiana fire Bjorken before Carlisle went to Indiana? Oh, ding, light bulb. Was it John Beilein? Was John Beilein the coach of the Cavs last year? Was he not? And then he was fired or stepped down?
Is that your final answer?
Former Michigan, yeah. I do, Josh. I have nothing to lose. I'm only down one with this, so I mean, at this point, I just got to give you a hard question next week. This wasn't a terrible question, though. I will give you that. Lloyd Pierce I pulled the Lloyd Pierce thing out of my, you know what, but
I'm so surprised it took
John
you
Beeline. I think it's John
that
Beeline.
long. So John Beeline resigned as head coach of the Cavaliers on February 19th, 2020. So he didn't coach the Cavs last season.
Dang it. I was a year back on that.
So I gave you another shot because you haven't even come close to who the other name was. In February, prior to the Lloyd Pierce firing in Atlanta, the Minnesota Timberwolves fired head coach Ryan Saunders after a 7-24 start for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So Ryan Saunders was the answer.
Good.
Everyone listening at home.
Good. His dad was better. Rest in peace. You know what's funny is I don't think the Timberwolves are even on this list that I looked up.
Of NBA teams?
Oh, I didn't go far enough over. Well, that'll do it. I'm going to end with this.
So, following that, it's still 3-2. Josh has a lead. He'll get an opportunity for 1 point with some egregiously hard question, it sounds like, next week.
No, I'll just give you 2 possible answers and make you get them both. It'll probably come from our friends at StatMuse. Shout out to StatMuse.
You need to start writing your own questions. Just going to put that out there.
Start writing my own questions. Oh, I do try to, but like I get inspiration from places. I don't reach out to them anymore. I haven't done that since last year, but I like giving them a shout out. They're nice fellas. I'm going to end with this. I'm going to throw this at you off the wall since we didn't do it this episode because we jumped right into the Stewart thing because you normally ask me like, oh, how are you? How was your week? We're recording this the week of Thanksgiving. I at least wanted to throw this in. We're a basketball podcast. Josh, what are you thankful for on the way out? What are you thankful for in your basketball life right now?
What am I I'm thankful for LaMelo Ball.
All right. This episode's done. This episode's done. I knew you were going to say that. Can you give me anything better than that? No, it's okay.
Better than LaMelo Ball?
He's worth that.
Have you been through my pain, frankly?
Yeah, no.
You're a Lakers fan. I know you haven't.
Well, so yes, that 2010 decade was pretty bad. That 2010 decade was pretty bad. Y'all made the playoffs in the 2010 decade when we didn't. So,
oh, boo-hoo. We haven't won a series ever.
I'll end with my basketball thankful this week. I am thankful that the dark horse favorite, Xavier, I don't even know what their mascot is. I don't know, the Wildcats, I think. Xavier.
They're the Musketeers.
Musketeers, thank you. I'm thankful that the best team in Ohio got my prediction right and was able to take down Ohio State, some Big Ten play there. And so far, at least it's not anywhere close to March, but I'm right about college basketball. It's something. Maybe I'll be right tomorrow when we see the Gonzaga UCLA showdown, I guess I'll call it. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, from us to you guys. Tell us what you're thankful for on Twitter. Tell us what you're thankful for when you give us a 5-star review, please. At 2 Pointers on Twitter, Facebook.com/the 2 Pointers podcast, and TikTok is at the 2 Pointers podcast. Josh, close us out.
This has been the 2 Pointers podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Trevor.
And we will see you soon. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.